Welcome to SBW Talks. Today, we have Charlene Rinker. Charlene is the founder of AccountaList Connect. They offer services tailored for accounting and finance professionals and hiring managers in the greater Tampa Bay area. Her company functions as a career connector, providing free access to vetted job opportunities and market insights for professionals. For companies, AccountaList Connect offers a curated talent pool with a modest success fee upon hiring, potentially saving them significant costs and time compared to traditional recruiting models. Prior to founding AccountaList Connect in 2024, Charlene held various recruiting roles in the accounting and finance profession, including Vice President at J2T Recruiting Consultants in Denver, where she worked for over 15 years and spearheaded a collaboration with Lose List, a large accounting and finance community in the Colorado Front Range. She is passionate about creating a transparent and personal approach to hiring and empowering professionals with knowledge and opportunities. Welcome, Charlene. I'm so happy to have you.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Good morning. How are you?
Good. So all my viewers, I had worked with Charlene back in 2007-8. We worked in the same recruiting firm.
Yes.
And she was like one of the best recruiters I met in the industry. She knew everything about finance and accounting.
Well, I used to be an accountant, so.
Yes. So
there's that.
Yeah. And she was like a top-notch recruiter. And again, I guess LinkedIn brought us in together after almost 15 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I saw that Charlene had started her new company, and I just, messaged her and I said, I have a podcast. Would you like to be a guest? And she said, yes.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. It's exciting to see what you're doing.
It's so wonderful to have you. And Charlene becoming an accountant to a recruiter, and now she started her own business.
Yes.
How did you become a business owner from all these years from being a recruiter for 20?
Yeah, well, I've spent the last 25 years being a recruiter, and 17 of those years I spent with the same company. And, I've definitely thrived and created long-lasting relationships, steadily climbed the ladder to vice president. But when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was faced with a hard truth. Sadly, the support that I expected, after 2 decades of loyalty, it just wasn't there. And that moment really forced me to reevaluate everything. My priorities, my purpose, how I wanted to work, who I wanted to work with, and how I wanted to move forward. Realizing that in that moment forced me to reevaluate everything, my priorities and my purpose, and how I wanted to move forward. I realized something many professionals learn the hard way, including me, that loyalty in the workplace isn't necessarily mutual, and then that we have to take care of ourselves, career, both professionally and personally. It was around the COVID time, and during that time and after that, companies were really struggling with the rising salaries along with the cost of recruiting. And applicants were struggling with having time to really look at job boards and things like that. And I was just seeing the struggles on both sides. And along with seeing the success of Lose List and what that value brought to the community, I really saw a need there, and that there was something there that could be brought to communities. And so I wanted to bring that to the Tampa Bay area, but I wanted to supercharge it. I wanted to also provide insights to accountants, provide career coaching, and offer advice to companies as far as helping them craft their message to the community, to the network, as well as making sure that the message got sent to the right level of candidate. That's how AccountaList was born.
Yeah, and it's almost like a double blessing. I know you talked about the loyalty, but it also kind of view your career in a different aspect.
Yes.
Like, I can do this.
Yeah, and I really just wanted to help both sides. We've got AI entering the hiring process, and I'm really noticing that it's almost being hurtful rather than helpful. I really think it's helpful on the sourcing side, helping the recruiters and the hiring managers and companies source candidates. But when it's used for screening resumes, and when it's used for applicants that are applying, it's almost causing so much noise that it's counterproductive.
What is the noise it's creating for the candidate side, if you can explain that?
For the candidate side, what it's creating is they are applying and the AI system is screening folks out that shouldn't be screened out. And it's causing the recruiters to rely a little too heavily on the AI and not necessarily get human eyes on these resumes.
Oh, wow.
And so the resumes are not getting to humans. And applicants are applying and just never hearing anything.
I don't think anyone knows about this. When candidates are putting resumes in, they're expecting some sort of communication back from the company where
They're not getting any response. It's disheartening. And then on the company side, candidates are using AI to apply. So the company is getting inundated with resumes. And so it's just kind of a vicious cycle that's going on.
So how AccountaList helping with this?
You know, how AccountaList is helping is, first off, the network professionals in the community, they know that when they see a role, it's been vetted, it's real. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of ghost jobs out there. And so, again, that's fueling the candidates to utilize AI to just apply, because they don't know if a job is real or not. And so with AccountaList, they know if they see a job, it's been vetted and it's a real job. So that's a plus for the community members.
Do you think the recruiting aspect will be taken out because of AI? Do you think recruiters will be gone, or do you think we'll still have their jobs?
Can't imagine how AI can take over the job. It is on the list. It's number, I believe I saw it's number 7 on the list, but I don't see how you can remove that human aspect of your gut and reading body language and, but I'm not an AI expert, so to date, I'm not impressed with how AI is affecting the hiring process.
What about the candidates, Charlene, who are using AI to construct their resumes versus the people who really have the experience and are writing the resumes on their own?
Well, that part, I think it should be embraced. AI should be viewed as a tool, and someone should utilize those tools. I always say AI, you're not going to be replaced by AI, but you're going to be replaced by someone who uses AI. So I do believe that AI should be embraced. It just, you can't rely on it 100%.
And I don't think AI can ever replace a true finance and accounting professional.
No, I don't believe so either. But again, those accounting and finance professionals that don't embrace AI will be left behind.
How will they be left behind?
Accounting and finance professionals are moving more to being a strategic consultant, not doing the mundane things like reconciliations, data entry, those types of things. And now that they can not be bogged down with that type of stuff, they can move more into strategic roles.
Oh, wow. That's good to know. Do you think a CPA is still needed?
Absolutely. It's the best thing they can do for their career.
Wow. And then being a woman entrepreneur, how does it feel? Because you worked in a company that were all women and now you're a owner of a woman-based company.
Right. Yeah. Just being a woman in business can be challenging. We all know that. And going out on your own is challenging in itself. Get ready for some long nights. Ups and downs, it's a roller coaster. But, as a woman in business, just in general, you got to remember everybody puts their pants on the same.
Yeah. And how has your networking over the years helped in building this business?
I have actually found that a lot of folks in Denver have connections here in Florida. A lot of folks have moved to Florida, so that has really helped.
That has enhanced your business. So do you see any competitors in your line of work that you're doing?
There is no one doing this other than Lose List in Colorado. I've not been able to find any.
So what is AccountaList doing specifically that's differentiating you from the usual recruiting firms?
What we're doing is we're creating a network of those top accounting and finance professionals. We're curating a list and we're slicing and dicing. Here's your senior accountants, here's your accounting managers, here's your controllers, here's your VP of finances. So when a company comes and says, I need a senior accountant, we're going to help them craft that message, the right message, because it shouldn't just be a job description. It should be a message, crafting, why someone would want to come work for this company. Where has the company been? Where is the company going? Talking about that hiring manager, and then sending it to the right level. And what differentiates us is it's not a job board. It actually gets sent to the inboxes. So it helps the job seeker or the professionals because they don't have to go seek. It pops into their inbox. And the companies have the advantage of getting that message to the right level of candidate. And it helps the candidates, even if they're not looking, they can be voyeurs. Everybody likes to be a voyeur or a lurker, as whatever you want to call it. And it helps them keep a pulse on the market. Accountants don't have time to keep a pulse on the market or insights. We send out insights on the market, any new headquarters that are moving to the area, any big news within the market or the industry.
And you were talking about an autobiography. Is that what you were saying about candidates having a biography of themselves?
Yeah, an autobiography is different from a resume because an autobiography basically, it goes more in depth and it's more storytelling about pivot points of your career, why you got into your profession. It kind of shows motivation. It tells stories about learning opportunities, mistakes you've made, and the lessons you've learned, where you're headed, what motivates you, various things like that. And it has your tone, your voice, whereas a resume basically just is a list of qualifications. It will definitely have some achievements that you've had over the years, but autobiography is going to have more in-depth information. And the biggest reason, you can use it for so many things, but the biggest reason I think someone should have an autobiography is for interview prep. It's really going to help set you apart from your competition, because you're going to go in with those behavioral interview questions. You're going to have those answers at the tip of your tongue versus having to go into your memory bank on the spot.
Wow, that's great. What would you tell like an accounting or finance professional that's looking for a position right now with what's going on in the market? Are there jobs there available right now currently?
There definitely is. There is still a talent shortage. Unemployment for accounting is at about 2%, 2.2%. For finance, it's about 2.5%. So it's hovering at about 2%. And so it's still pretty low. And there is a talent shortage, and it's not going away because recruiting into the accounting profession is not getting better.
What would you tell a person that's thinking about getting an accounting or finance degree? What is a good thing you would tell them?
I would tell them that for accounting, I would tell them to, number one, get your CPA or CMA. Companies are getting to where CPA, first choice, CMA, second choice. And then I would tell them, if you can stomach it, go into public accounting. Go into public accounting, preferably Big Four or second tier, because that really sets your career up for success.
Do they get layoffs? Because I think every company needs an accounting and finance professional.
There are layoffs. There definitely are, but not. It's rare.
It's rare. And what if they want to be a controller or a CFO of a company? I know the young generation always wants to reach for the stars.
Well, that's where you always have to look 2 to 5 years out and utilize those moves as stepping stones. You need to round out your resume depending on where you want to go. If you want to be a controller, you don't necessarily need to see a lot of operational, but if you want to be a CFO, you're going to need to see operational, you're going to need to see finance. So you're going to need to be strategic about those moves. And that's what's great about, going back to AccountaList. You can be that voyeur and not necessarily be looking, but when that right opportunity does make an appearance, you can throw your name in the hat, knowing what that next move needs to look like. You need to be proactive.
And we don't want to say accounts receivable payables are not necessary positions, but they are. I think they're like the most needed.
Yes, accounts payable, accounts receivable, staff, and senior. Those are some of the hardest positions to fill. Now, where AI is really making roads is accounts payable and accounts receivable. But again, that is in the mundane data entry, things like that, where you're really going to be able to make impact is knowing those AI tools, being able to utilize those tools, and moving more into that strategic avenue.
And now, is there competition in the accounting field? I mean, we were talking about conflict in the companies.
Competition in the sense of looking for opportunities?
Yes, competition. Yeah.
Absolutely, there is. And there's more now. I mean, let's just face it, there's more now than there was a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, unemployment in accounting was at 0.5%. So it's definitely increased. And there is competition. There's always competition. There's always going to be somebody that's better. There's a better tool. There's a better manager. There's a better recruiter. Somebody's always going to be better. But when companies go to search for a role, it's really about the culture. By the time you're at an interview, you've already checked the boxes on qualifications. That's the cost of entry. It's you meet all the qualifications. At that point, it's more about the
soft skills. The soft skills.
Your soft skills. Soft skills are so important. Critical thinking, emotional intelligence. That's a big one this right now.
Yeah, like how you're gonna get along with the peers and the environment of the company.
Mm-hmm. And each company has a different culture. So if you didn't make it on with this company, it's not necessarily. Don't take it personally. It just wasn't the right match. You'll find your right match.
And one of the things I remember when I was a recruiter, presentation is key. Come dressed to impress. I think a lot of people forget that, especially like in accounting finance professionals.
They do. Put on a tie, and rely on your recruiters, rely on the intel you gather. Look at pictures of the company. Look at their Facebook page, look at their websites, see how they dress, and go a step above that.
And accounting, is it more male dominated or female dominated or equal, Charlene, you think?
I don't know the statistics on that. That would be interesting to actually look. I think it's pretty equal.
Yeah, I think they're both.
Yeah, I think it's pretty equal.
I think maybe on the CFO level, women are coming up onto that level.
They are. I think on the CFO level, it's a little dominated by the male side. An interesting statistic that I saw a couple weeks ago is a male CFO is more inclined to require folks to be in the office than a female CFO.
Wow, interesting. And is there a salary, you think, difference in the male and female of the CFO? Salary difference? Talk about the salary differences women get in all of these fields.
I think that there probably is, especially in the states that are not requiring salary disclosure, but I think that we're moving in the right direction. I personally think everybody should have salary disclosure, especially when you post the job. Why you want to play that game, I don't understand, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I am seeing more female being on the higher position of CFOs and controllers than it was like 20 years ago even.
Yeah, absolutely.
Female presence is definitely there.
And the generations, like Gen Z is just not going to they're not going to.
They're not. No. What are some advice to some young women who are coming up in the accounting field? What would you give?
Be strategic, be proactive, and have a mentor.
Good one.
And know where you're going.
Now, these women, they're getting out of colleges, they're networking. Give advice on how to find that mentor that fits you. That's a good one.
That is a good one. Because mentors can come from company you're working in to groups that you're in. And, I personally believe that the best mentors are not from the company that you're in. I think it comes from groups you're in. And so join a group. join the local AICPA or local CMA group or whatever group that you can find. Get into some networking and find a mentor and work with them. That is one of my goals with AccountaList, is to have a mentor program. That's a goal that I have, and because I know mentors are hard to find, good ones.
Yeah.
That take it seriously.
You could be a great mentor. I think you have enough years of experience.
Yeah, I don't have the technical piece anymore.
I think it's more of the soft skills again, because the technical piece I think accountants can figure out.
Yeah.
But it's more of the soft skills I think accountants need maybe a little bit of a help and push in.
And, I don't fault them. They are so busy when they get into their jobs. They're working, especially when you're in public accounting during busy season, you are working so many hours. You don't have time to go to networking events. You don't have time to do so many things. And even in corporate accounting, I mean, you've got your month end, you've got your quarterly end, your year end, your budget seasons. I mean, it's like you finish up one thing and you go right into the next. And they just don't have time.
No, they don't. And how about tax accounting? That's another accounting area that there's not enough peers in.
No, there's not. And again, that's where they just don't have time. They don't have time. And unfortunately, a lot of companies are starting to ship accounting roles overseas, which is not, I personally don't think it's good.
A lot of people are moving their bank accounts overseas. Let alone accounting,
Yeah, you find some CFOs that really think it's a good thing. And, right now I can't blame them because they can't find talent here.
How is the talent in Florida and Colorado? What are you seeing?
I think it's where I am, the greater Tampa Bay area, it's pretty similar. The size is about the same. It's very similar.
I think maybe the talent pool is the same all around, or you think some places have a little more, some a little less?
You mean Tampa versus?
The talent pool just in general for accounting in the U.S.
Yes, I think it is. Yeah. In any major city, I think it's going to be about the same.
Yeah. I think we just need more accountants. Go to school and get a degree in accounting or finance.
Yeah. Now, this past year, they increased their recruiting, and it did increase from last year, but it's still down.
What do you tell the companies, with so much that's going on, that they're kind of hesitant to get a recruiting firm or say like AccountaLink to help them? What's your advice to companies?
A lot of them have internal recruiters, which, hey, I completely understand companies wanting to fill roles on their own. I do. But with things like what I'm trying to create with AccountaList is, you don't pay anything to advertise. You only pay a modest success fee if you hire somebody from the list. It's about 75% less than what you would pay a recruiter, and about the same cost that it would be for a job board, like a LinkedIn. So to those talent acquisition and HR folks, it's targeted. It's not the noise of all the irrelevant resumes, that they would have to weed through, or the applicant or the AI is weeding through, and it's active and passive candidates. Whereas job boards, it's all active, only active.
Yeah, I think companies forget that as a recruiter, a recruiting firm, you can get those passive candidates and they're one of the best.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely.
And then when you do get the candidate, the companies forget that they paid a fee because they're so happy with that candidate.
Yes. With AccountaList, once they identify candidates, they take it from there. They hold the process. Whereas with recruiting, the recruiter, holds the hand of the candidate through the process. Recruiters definitely have their place for really hard to find, where it's completely needed for certain roles, where headhunting is absolutely needed.
No, I think I like how you kind of changed your lane.
Yeah.
I think it's unique, it's different. You're not paying that hefty fee, but you are getting the person of interest that you want to hire.
Yeah. It's like fishing in a bucket versus the ocean.
Yeah, right. And I think when you've been in the industry, I think when you look at those candidates, you immediately know who just looking at the resumes for like a second, you can pick out who's that right candidate and who's not.
Yeah, you can. You absolutely can.
No, this is great, Charlene. Anything else you want to tell our viewers?
My goal is to take AccountaList Connect to other major cities, and also have, a portal where there can be, say an accountant has a question, they could throw it out there, to have other accountants ask that, kind of like a mini Reddit type thing. That's my goal, and to have the mentor program, so I've got a lot of goals, but baby steps.
No, this is great. At least you started. So tell us your website and where they can find you, all the communication details.
I'm at AccountaList.com, and I'm on LinkedIn, Charlene Rinker. And that's where you can find me.
Yeah, I found her on LinkedIn after like almost 15 years.
Yes.
LinkedIn is a great place to find jobs and
It is.
people.
Yes.
It's a great place. Thank you, Charlene. It was wonderful having you. I mean, I think we got an insight on the finance and accounting industry.
Yes.
What's going on
Thank you for
currently.
having me. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, thanks to all our viewers for watching and hearing Charlene. We will be coming back with an episode 2 with her. We'll be talking about her health, what's been going on behind the scenes for her starting this company. That'll be an interesting one. Thanks, Charlene. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.